finish line. You can't get there from here.
Strap on your feet bag. Wide Army. Running with scissors.
HWYRT.
HWYRT.
How come you're not running right now? No, seriously, grab some headphones and go for a run while you listen.
Come on, Bray.
And now, without further ado, here are Bryan and Peter.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Peter Villa of How Was Your Run Today, and I'm so excited to report that Brian Gould lives. He's alive.
Hey,
I'm seeing him in front of me. Stop it.
I'm here.
Stop it. You are in the flesh. It's worked. It happened.
It happened.
I haven't seen George Woodward, a.k.a. Marathon George, but I believe he is also among the living.
Who's that?
Well, that's George Woodward right there.
Marathon George.
Go catch that sheep.
He is. He's alive and well in Cincinnati.
Everyone I know. How's Brian? Is Brian okay? Did he do it? Is he back from Arizona? Is he still in the Grand Canyon? How long is he going to be there? Did he move there? Did he survive? So, Brian,
Yeah.
in as many words as you possibly can use, how was that run hike of Grand Canyon that day?
Thank you so much, Peter. Can we just play the theme song right
Oh,
now?
yeah, let's do that.
Wow, the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Rim to rim. Grand Canyon. Rim to rim. To rim. To rim. To rim. To rim.
Because now I'm in the mood. I'm back there.
I bet you're in the moment.
All right, well, I have a treat for you. I have a little bit of audio of
What?
George and I.
You recorded audio?
A little, I did remember. I took a
Look
lot of
at
pictures.
that.
But I'll just set the scene a little bit. So we arrive in Phoenix. Phoenix is having, surprise, another heat wave.
Shocking.
So I think every day was well over 100. So we didn't really go outside after noon. I will tell you, we did have a very pleasant early morning visit to the Frank Lloyd Wright compound.
Gorgeous.
Outside of Scottsdale.
Beautiful.
Recommend it to everybody. Their audio tour, self-guided audio tour, was astounding. It was a wonderful way to spend an hour and a half out in the desert learning about architecture and stuff like that.
Fabulous.
The next day,
Thursday,
we got up, we ate, sat around in air conditioning, collected our bags, and then waited for the arrival of Will Burkhart, the proprietor of Badass Adventures, who, this is our guide.
Oh, he's your tour guide. Okay.
And he's coming to pick us up. And George and I did a little audio recording.
Let's hear it.
George, you know, we're in Arizona right now. We're in Scottsdale waiting to get picked up by Will, our guide. And my skin was getting dry being here in Phoenix, and I put lotion from the hotel bathroom all over myself, and now I smell. It's so fragrant and stinky. Can you even stand to be sitting next to me?
I'm planning on sitting in the last row of the van.
Just to stay away from me.
Yes. No, honestly, I don't even notice the odor yet. Perhaps it's because my nose is so dry because the humidity is 0 in this place.
But at least it's 105, so that's good.
Yes. This morning it seemed okay at 80 and dry. Now at 105 and dry, it's really hot out.
So I see you have a suitcase and a backpack and trekking poles ready to go. What are your thoughts at this moment, the day before our rim to rim?
I'm cautiously optimistic that we're actually going to be able to finish this hike. I'm quite excited by it. This is a fantastic opportunity. I was thinking this morning when I was out walking how lucky I am to have this opportunity to do this trek with you, Bryan, and it's gonna be something else. I'm a lucky guy.
I have to agree with you. I was feeling full of gratitude and just saying, it's sort of the weird. It's almost a day before a marathon. There's a lot of waiting around, but you're so jazzed up and ready to go. It's a funny in between time, but I'm really excited, and I'm feeling like a lucky person to be able to do this.
Yeah, it is. It's a little different for me than before a marathon. Before a marathon, I'm actually scared. I'm not scared this time.
I'm not scared either. Maybe we should be. I don't know. I'm excited to meet our group and to get going.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
All right.
All right. Well, it sounds like you guys you were really ready to go.
We were ready. Yeah. We'd been there for about a day and a half, and we're ready to go.
Okay. And how long did it take for Will to show up and get you?
Almost immediately.
You hit stop and it's time to go.
Yeah. And we went right back to the Phoenix airport, picked up one of the hikers, a woman from Mississippi.
Were you guys the first two in the group?
Yeah, we were the first two in the group.
I got you. Okay.
And she was a fitness instructor.
What was her name?
And that was Melissa.
I got you.
And then we picked up the bulk of our group. The Northeast was overrepresented in this crew. We had no idea what the group was going to be like. It was 6 guys who had all graduated Holy Cross in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester.
Yeah, in I think 1990 maybe was their graduation.
Oh, so around your age.
Yeah, so about 3 years older than we are. And they were all great. 3 of them were named Tom, so we can just refer to them as the Toms.
The Toms.
6 Toms. And they were, I will just say this about everybody on the trip. Everybody was a team player. Everybody was a font of positivity.
Yeah, and brought it.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to do.
No, you do not know.
And George and I didn't even really know how many people were going to be on this trip. And everyone was a team player. It was great.
So let me ask you this. You knew George. George knew you. The Toms knew all the Toms. Was Melissa the only sort of lone player?
No, we had a second lone player, Jane from Florida, who we picked up in Flagstaff. She had come early to sort of acclimatize and do some more hiking. And her trainer was actually there. So there was a sort of a cross combination where Marcus, who had been training Jane, also had done adventures with Will. So he was coming on as a second guide.
Great.
To join us. And he was there as well. He's from Georgia. And then rounding the whole group out was Sonia, who was the driver/third guide.
That's awesome.
And she's also from Arizona. So Will and Sonia are from Arizona.
Okay, so the band is put together.
The band is put together. We
And
filled
where
up
do you
the van.
go?
Well, we went to the airport, made a pickup, then drive to approximately everything. Everything we're about to hear for the next however long this podcast goes is approximate.
Of course.
Take distances, altitude, and
grain of salt,
timing,
all of it.
all with a grain of salt.
Yep.
My brain is a mixed up muddle of whatever.
I can't believe you have pants on.
And so we drove approximately 2 hours due north to Flagstaff, also gaining in altitude and descending in temperature. Flagstaff was much nicer because we were up a little further north or a little higher.
So when you say nicer, are we still talking like low 80s, mid 80s?
Yeah. I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah, gorgeous.
The weather in Flagstaff was really, really nice.
Awesome.
Equally as dry.
Okay, so you get up to Flagstaff.
We get up to Flagstaff, and we are in just like basically a suburban Airbnb. I mean, Flagstaff, I don't think...
But it's not a hotel.
I don't think so. Flagstaff, frankly, has suburbs. It's like Flagstaff, the town or the city, and then there's like ranches and
not Flagstaff,
So we were in a neighborhood, basically, in the Brady Bunch house.
All in one house.
All in one house. There were 10 beds for about 13 people.
This is Thursday night.
The guides all took the couches.
Very nice.
George and I shared a room, 3 bathrooms, but it all worked out. Again, everyone was like, yep, we're just going to figure this all out. It's going to be fine.
What's the call time for Friday morning?
Okay, so let me just say we had a get to know you dinner at an outside pub down in downtown Flag.
Nice.
And we did get to know each other a little bit,
Yeah.
except, with, what were we, 13 people or something like that?
You can only
talk to the people. It's like being at a wedding
proximity.
where you don't know anybody. You're only going to get to know the people
exactly next
to your
you,
left, to your right, and
Yep.
across from you. So that's I talked to Marcus for quite a long time, the other guide, and got to know a few people a little bit. And then, so the call time, we get back. Oh, we did a little grocery shop. That was hectic as heck. Try to get 13 people to agree on anything. So, but we figured it out. Some people wanted peanut butter and jellies. Some people wanted turkey sandwiches.
Oh, right, sure, because you're trying to buy the food so everybody can share to a degree.
Right. Make your own sandwiches that night. And
Fun.
we went to REI for anything last minute.
Fun.
I wound up getting a big fat water bottle to round out my water situation.
Okay.
But everything was chill. We get back about 7:30, maybe 7. It was early. Make your sandwiches, fill up your water bladders, be ready to go, because we're in the van driving at 2:30 a.m.
Say that again?
We're in the van driving at 2:30 a.m. So once I picked my ears and eyeballs up off the floor,
Yeah.
I did a little calculation. I'm like, oh, I have to go to bed right now.
To get 4.5 hours of sleep.
I then proceeded to lie in bed from 8 till about 10:30.
Oh, yeah, just buzzing.
Staring at the ceiling.
Buzzing.
And there's nothing for me to do.
No.
I don't have to drive anywhere.
No, you don't have to have a map. You don't have to do anything.
I have to put on the clothes I had laid out
All you have
hours
to do-
earlier.
yeah. Flat Brian.
Lube
that's
up
it.
my areas that need lubing up.
Please do.
Put on my backpack and leave.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there I am staring at the ceiling.
Well, I can tell you why, but you know why. But anyway, keep
So
going.
I get 2 or 3 hours of sleep.
Ouch.
But
you knew you were going to. Like, I mean, that's a thing, right?
Of course. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and it often on a time like that when you're scared you're going to miss a flight or you have some other weird wake up.
Also, yes.
That's what it was. Obviously, I wasn't going to oversleep.
Yeah, they literally weren't going to leave without
There were a whole
you.
bunch of other people
Right.
that were going to be making an
Right.
awful lot of noise.
Right.
So I don't know what it was, but anyway, very little sleep the night before. But I woke up ready to go. We got dressed and started shoving food in our face. I actually ate. I was really pleased with how much I was able to eat. I ate hard-boiled egg.
It's hard to eat in
banana,
the middle of the night.
Had a cup of coffee.
Nice.
Like I was really surprised how much I was able
Did
to
you
change.
take care of your business?
All the business was taken care of.
Thank you so much.
And then we got in the car for a pitch black ride through the wilderness for
Yes.
about 90 minutes.
Oh, so not close by. Were you able to?
There's a theme.
Were you able to sleep and nod off in the car, or no? Is the energy just
No,
electric?
I didn't. You'll hear a lot about van rides in the next few minutes.
Okay.
And I did not sleep at all. I did sort of go into low power mode. I put my sunglasses on and just sort of low power mode, but I don't think I actually nodded off at any point.
But you're not having big animated conversations. Was that a quiet van ride?
It was a quiet van ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was
You were in the quiet car.
everyone was wherever they were in their heads, and was I. And we knew we were going to be expending a lot of energy. No reason to
Right.
expend energy at 2:30.
Hold it
in the
back.
morning.
Hold it back.
So we get to, for those of you who have been there, the South Rim, not the big developed area of the Bright Angel Trail area, but a little bit further away called the South Kaibab. It's basically just a parking lot. But it's not far away from the other one. It's just a different place to start. And of course, it's pitch black. We get out, quickly use the bathroom.
Because now it's what, 4 a.m.-ish?
Yeah, it's about 5 of 4.
And what's the sunrise going to be local time?
Don't know.
You don't care.
Don't care. Right. We're about to start hiking.
You're going to go into the earth.
For forever. Right? And the only way out is on our own 2 feet.
Right, so it doesn't matter where the sun goes.
Yeah. The sun is going to do what it does,
Yep.
and we're going to do what we do.
Awesome.
And the canyon's not going to change at all.
All right, quick bathroom stop before you get in that canyon?
Yep. Quick bathroom stop. And then you might be interested to what we were wearing.
To start. I'd like to know what the temperature was to start.
I think it was in the low 50s.
Okay,
it
so-
might have been in the upper 40s.
But
I don't
it's
know.
brisk.
No. Well, I guess I didn't really notice. Part of it is it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Everyone's brains are, wherever they are. We all decided shorts. No one was going to wear pants.
I agree with that.
So I'm wearing shorts, and I was wearing my thinnest of thin windbreakers.
Over what size tech shirt?
I have a long sleeve hooded tech shirt that I wear when I know I'm going to be exposed to sun for a long time.
Sure.
It's very breathable, but it's like 50 SPF.
SPF, yeah.
So I love that thing.
What are we doing for socks?
I actually wear alpaca wool socks or whatever they're called.
How high? Up to the calf?
No, they're not up my calf. They come up over the edge of the boots, though. Okay, so this might be really interesting to some folks. I wear hiking boots. I have learned over many, many years that anything over 4 hours on my feet, unless I'm doing like a trail 50K, where I wear my Hoka Speed Goat sneakers, which are trail sneakers. I need to wear hiking boots for whether it's I don't know, it's the extra protection, extra support, whatever it is.
All of it.
I have learned. I've done some very long events, and the hiking boots are for me. So I have these Salomon, I don't know what they are. They're called Salomon Quest. I get them from REI. They're not quite those super flexible, lightweight hikers, but they're not all leather hikers. I put them on my feet. I never thought about my feet for the next 12 hours.
Can I ask you this? And I don't mean to be weird about it, but did you actually wear those in the van? Or did you put them on just as you got out of the van?
Oh, no. We were dressed in... okay, so the other theme...
other than
this,
approximately in van rides.
Guide Will.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm going to say, effing around.
Okay. You're doing it.
We're going to be at a pace.
We're going to make this happen.
The pace is to make sure you all get out.
Okay.
As I think he put it, it might feel like a fast pace for some. For others, it's going to feel like a lollygag at the start.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Then it's going to feel like a pace for everybody. But we're all getting out, and we're all getting out on our own 2 feet.
That's awesome.
So you were not changing. There was no changing going to happen.
Are you leaving stuff in the van that you're going to get on the other side?
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah, and I left my sneakers and a whole change of clothes, actually,
That's
in the van.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
So now, all right, here you are. You're ready to go.
Packs are on. Poles are set.
Poles.
100%.
100% needed them.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Can I ask you this?
Question.
Had you trained with poles in any way?
Yeah, I made a switch to hiking poles about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And very glad I did. I never thought I would use them as in my 20s and 30s, I guess. But then I had some tough descents, more than climbs.
Sure.
Descents were getting tougher on my joints, and I borrowed a pair of poles from somebody, and I said, okay, I sold. I'm going to use now pole. I hike exclusively I have for a decade.
All right, so you have been in this training cycle using poles.
Yeah, in my hikes.
In your hikes,
like
yeah.
I'm not walking around my neighbourhood using
No.
trekking
I was just
poles.
curious. I was just curious.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty used to hiking with
all right,
poles.
packs on, poles in hand. Mm-hmm. The 13 of you? 14.
Yeah, I think it was 13.
In you go?
Headlamps on, pitch black.
It's nighttime.
It's also a new moon. There is zero moonlight.
So
it's just
what
the stars.
are the stars?
And the Milky Way.
How good is it?
Well, here's the funny thing. Who knows? Because we get out, and it takes some time for your eyes to adjust to complete darkness.
Yeah.
And this time did not exist.
Because you had to get going.
There was a bathroom. There was take a picture.
Yeah.
Descent.
Because Will does not mess around.
And we are walking down the trail.
How soon are you in the canyon? Like immediately?
1 second.
Yeah, like you're now in it.
Yeah, once you step on the trail, you're descending switchbacks. Now, the trail is not... There's no technical part of the trail, in my estimation.
It's like a fire road all the way down.
Yeah, there's parts where the drop-off
is
will kill
right
you.
there.
Yeah. But actually, 90% of it is not like that. Yes, there's some steep drop-offs, but the trail, sometimes it's broken rock, like especially where the mules have really kicked it up.
Sure.
But for the most part, the trail is way smoother than most of the hiking we do in New England.
And what are you seeing for other human beings?
There were a lot of people. I think George and I agreed there were somewhere between 30, 40 other people ready to go at 4 a.m.
And nobody's coming out at this time of day.
Not yet.
Okay.
A few more hours, people were starting to come up across the Colorado River and up. But, you know, there's some points at which we start the zigzags down and you look down and it looks, there's headlamps.
You see it.
Sort of all the way down. I think Will made a comment that's saying he was surprised at how many people were there. And there's a whole post-COVID sort of thing, like for the Grand Canyon in general, this is the first year it's sort of back from the visitation is back. So I think, and we know, you and I know several people who have done rim to rim
this year,
and I think
it's a big destination
for everybody who this was on their bucket list.
They're getting to it.
It finally came this year. So yeah, there was a lot of people, and that was true throughout. Although, you know, we passed some people passed us, but it wasn't annoying. It wasn't like we're at Disney World or something like that. No. And we were moving downhill, and we stopped. At one point, there was a bathroom, and I think it's called Cedar Point because there's a cedar tree, and then that's when we all shut off our headlamps, and after a couple of minutes, our eyes started to adjust, and you really could see the night sky.
Amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah, of course. There's no other lights. It really was, the timing was our eyes adjusting to the darkness, and then the stars sort of became more bright, and you could see the Milky Way more clearly. I actually got a couple of crazy photos, thank you, iPhone, that showed the stars. But what the trail looked like beyond our boot tops, no idea.
How fast?
So pitch black.
How fast does the time go?
Time is irrelevant.
It's gone.
It's irrelevant. We're just moving.
In it. Yeah,
we're just in it. And that was true for the entire trip. The timing meant nothing. You know, 7 hours left, 3 hours left, 1 mile left, 10. I knew the place markers because I had been in the canyon 5 or 6 years ago. I knew the place markers. I knew where they were on the trail. You kind of break it into 3 parts, down, over, and up. And I knew all of those. When they showed up was how fast was I going or how slow was I going. And when you start at 4 in the morning and the sun comes up, I don't know, maybe it was 5 hours later, 4 hours later, because it comes up, but then it doesn't peak.
But it doesn't come up over to you.
It doesn't peak over the ridge until a certain point, and that's an important moment to talk about, actually. But unfortunately, and I'll just go over this quickly, Jane, our member from Florida, the decision was made at that point. I was pretty oblivious to what was happening, that she was not going to be able to do the day.
Oh, that's too bad.
So it's too bad. So she and Marcus turned around, and it was the last moment, I believe, where we had any cell phone reception. The driver was already 45 minutes going to the North Rim, which was our final destination. And so she went back up.
How far down were you?
I think we were about a mile and a half. A mile and a half, I believe.
So it was at that point where...
I don't know what the calculus was.
But you have to go back. You literally have to go back out.
It's... Yeah, I as I understood it, for the reasons of the pace we were on, what
was ahead of you still?
Not only what's ahead of us, but also it wasn't going to get easier.
That's it.
And then it was also, can you get back up and be picked up? Like that whole coordination, there was no one waiting at the South Rim. Our driver had already taken off.
Right.
So it was a matter of getting in touch with that person, getting them back to the South Rim, and then being able to rendezvous with them, and then getting back, because now, think about this, we're 9 people, 1 guide, until the driver can drive the 4 hours to the North Rim and then hike down some amount of time to meet us. And all of that, this is a long day. You can plan.
There's a lot of pieces to that.
You can plan,
a lot of moving
but you
parts.
don't know what's going to happen.
That's right.
So we already have something that's unexpected,
Unplanned,
which is somebody has to bail. And, you know, felt really bad. for Jane, and but I'm glad that she was able to
Absolutely.
experience as much as she did. So then, and again, like at the time,
you were just still moving.
I was very much locked into whatever I had to do.
Yep.
Because even though I have crossed the Grand Canyon, I've done it in 4 days. I'd never done it in 1 day.
Where are you in relation to George? Is he near you?
Yeah. We were a tight group.
Okay.
Going down at that point. And then we descend some amount further to the next rest stop. There's another bathroom. And it was at that point that the first fingers of light start to come up.
Was that cool?
The sun, there's you can't see the sun or anything, but the
No,
light.
but you can start to see the...
Yeah, and George and I, other than the guide, at this point now we have 1 guide and 9 guests. George and I are the only ones who had ever seen the Grand Canyon.
You mean in reality,
in
life?
reality. So no one else had been there.
Cow.
No one else had ever seen it.
That's awesome.
So the first light, we were able to shut our headlamps off, and it was really wonderful to experience everybody else's
first time of
That's viewing. Awesome. Like, what? Wow.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
No.
You can see pictures.
It doesn't do it.
It doesn't do it.
I know.
And we're only in one part. We're
totally,
just in one area that's
right.
incredibly
So that's so funny. They're experiencing it for the first time, not from the rim, which is how most people experience a sunrise at the Grand Canyon.
Right. The line that's thrown out is 99% of people never go past the rim or something like that.
Right. That's awesome. Okay, good for you. Okay, so
and remember, at the South Rim, we saw nothing. It's pitch black.
No, you.
So they descended like, I don't know, it was 2 or 3, probably 3 miles in,
and you have no concept of what you're in, how big it is,
and the dust. Okay, it was so dry.
Oh, the
There's
dust.
a point at which you have a headlamp. That's the only light you have, and at one point it was the dust cloud
down
over
below
our feet.
Yes.
So all you were looking at was your hazy boot tops or sneaker tops, whatever you were wearing.
Don't step on a scorpion.
Yeah, we didn't see very much wildlife. We saw 1 deer, I think. And so that was intense. Oh, also, I have to say, we step off the rim onto the trail.
Yeah.
And start descending. And within 1 second,
yeah,
a heat blast sort of comes up.
Wow.
And that was a surprise to me, and I think to everybody. I heard some oohs and wows. It didn't last, but it was like, whoa, okay, there's some residual heat down there.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it was at that point, now we're about 3 miles down, everybody took off their shell, their outer layers, got rid of them, no longer needed them for the rest of the day.
Okay, now it's getting lighter and lighter.
Now it's getting lighter and lighter, and this was the easiest, most fun part of the entire trip, which was the rest, maybe 4 more miles down to the river.
Lights are off now?
Yeah, lights are off.
You put them away.
The natural light is increasing again, no direct sunlight, but you're starting to see the canyon, and the descent at that point is quite precipitous. So we start to see the Colorado River for the first time, the green water, and you're really in the cliffs. And great photos. And, I would stop and take a bunch of photos. Everybody was. Yep. And then, in fact, at one point, George and I actually ran for a minute or 2 to catch up because we had taken photos. So everyone was feeling really good at that point. And
everyone's nutrition's good. Everyone's fluid intake is good.
Again, I have no idea about anybody else.
You're just in your thing.
100% focused. Yep. And I felt very good about the calories I was shoving in.
Good.
I was really concerned about that, so I was keeping up with my calories.
Good.
And then we cross the river. We go across this big
bridge.
Whoa,
you're already down?
Already down.
Okay, you cross the river.
I don't know how many hours.
So that's actually something I was going to ask you, which is literally you get to the river because there's a friggin' river there, big river. Mm-hmm. And how do you cross it?
There's a big suspension bridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For people and mules.
How far off of the river is it? Like, is it 100 feet? Is it 2 feet? Like, how above it are you?
Somewhere in between that. Maybe it's 40, 50 feet. It's a suspension bridge.
That's what it has to
and
be.
Actually, the infrastructure built into the cliff to hold it is really significant.
That's cool.
But it's, it's a narrow sort of steel bridge with a wooden deck.
How long is it?
Whatever, I don't know, 100 feet, maybe 150 feet. I don't know.
Okay.
It's
the width of the river that's right there.
maybe it's as long as a football field, but I don't think so.
Okay, fine.
Maybe
you
it's
get
200
across.
feet.
I've seen a picture of you on that bridge.
Yep, we get across.
Awesome job.
And it's funny that at that point we've crossed the river where you think like,
Yeah.
mentally you think that's the midpoint. No, it's not the
No,
midpoint
it's not.
at all.
It's the first-
7 miles are essentially done. So very soon after that.
Because you get down to the bottom and cross the river relatively quickly into the trek across.
Yeah, that's really only the first third. There's 2/3 left to go.
Okay, so you're at the first third mark. How do you feel?
I feel great. We get to a place called Phantom Ranch, which there's cabins.
Famous.
And very famous. The little canteen store that doesn't open till 8, and it's before 8. I don't know what time it is at that point, but it's early. And at one point, I look at the thermometer, it's 80 degrees, but it felt like it was in the upper 60s because there's no humidity. None. And it felt very cool. And I have to tell you, compared to when I was down there with the family in the mid-July, my mistake, it never got cool. It never got not uncomfortably hot, even at night, even in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And to be there in a comfortable temperature really changed
It must,
the experience.
That's really
anyway,
good.
so I managed to have the wherewithal to click on my recorder and get George and I sitting at Phantom Ranch 7 or 8 miles into the trip. Do you want to hear that?
Oh my! You remembered to record audio a second time.
Can you believe it?
God bless you. Let's hear you and Marathon George at Phantom Ranch.
Come on, break.
George, we're at Phantom Ranch. You've been 7 miles into the Grand Canyon. You've crossed the Colorado River. Thoughts?
It was really tough in the dark. Coming into the light was fantastic. The views are unbelievable. It's just staggering. We're traveling with a great group and having a really good time. Brian's just killing it out there. This is a wonderful thing.
Well, that's very nice of you, George. All right, onward.
You didn't say one word about me, George.
Brian, who's that third person just popped in there at the end?
No, that was Melissa. That was part of our group.
Oh, right, Melissa. Okay, great,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so you're at Phantom Ranch. You were smart enough to record, which means you actually got to sit down for a second, or you did not sit?
No, we were, I don't know. Again, maybe we were there for 5 minutes. Maybe we were there for 15 minutes. I don't really know.
Okay, but it was a break.
It was a break. We
Bathroom
refilled
again.
with water.
Yep.
Some people use the bathroom and eat. Again, every time you stop, you eat.
Strap on your feed bag. Come and get it.
Oh my gosh, so good.
And then the next section is something called the box.
The box. Why is it called the box?
Because the walls are pretty
Boxy.
Boxy. It's narrower. Ooh. Now the whole rest of the across part.
Yes.
Which is kind of rolling. I guess it's a net. It is a net up, but you don't really feel the climb. I'll just describe what it's like down there. There's a river or a creek coming through. I think it's called Cottonwood Creek. The whole entire time that you're walking in parallel with.
Okay.
So it's flowing into the Colorado River, which you've just crossed.
Yep.
So pretty much the entire time you're hearing the creek, and there's a lot of vegetation.
Sure, because it's,
And so it's, you would think maybe you're like in the bottom of a mine.
Yeah.
An open pit mine. But,
No,
but you're not. There's a lot of vegetation there. And again, we get through the entire box, which is maybe 4 miles, I guess.
Yep.
Before the sun crests
over you.
Over us.
Over even the first ridge. Yeah.
And then at some point between there and our stop for lunch, which is Cottonwood Campground, which is the end of the second third, which is 14 miles in before you start the actual
you have not started the true
significant ascent.
Okay.
That's when the sun came out, and that's when it got hot.
It must have gotten hot.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Did you get a chance to record with George again?
So let me tell you this, actually. George and I did a full recording rehashing the entire trip and series of events in the hotel room the next day.
Okay.
So it's long, but we cover everything. Do you want to hear that account?
I need to hear that because I have so many questions in my head. Maybe some will get answered. Maybe some won't. Please hit play.
a place called The Box, which was new to you. Can you describe what The Box was like?
Well, the box is an area that the cliffs on both sides of the river are very steep, and so there's not much wind, and the sun will beat down on you, and has a reputation of being a really hard part. As it turned out for us, because we started at 4 a.m, we weren't in the sun for a while in the box and only had it towards the end, and so the box worked out pretty well for us. I will not call it flat. We were always going up, not very dramatically, but you were always going up. And so and Will at that point had his foot on the gas, and that section after Phantom, we were moving. We were going as fast as you would want to go hiking, or at least as fast as I could go hiking.
No, I agree. We were moving, and in fact, it was right when the sun finally broke over the edge of the ridge above us. The temperature soared immediately. The direct sun, it was incredibly dry that day, hit me. I didn't fall over or anything, but I said, oh boy, this is a game changer. And we kept moving. And I think just as we were coming into our lunch spot at Cottonwood Canyon, I realized that something was going on. I was tired, I guess, is how I can describe it. I just didn't have a lot of oomph, but I was hoping that lunch was going to revive me. How did you feel at that point?
Yeah, I was not feeling tired, but I was starting to have trouble eating the weird stuff, the funny bars, the goos, that. I managed to eat my whole turkey sandwich. It tasted pretty good, but the turkey sandwich was not that dry, but when I would put a bite in my mouth, there was no liquid. I was thirsty, it was dry, but I ate the sandwich and ate as much as I could. I changed shirts at that point to try and give myself a little more cooling. At the water station, I was able to run the water, splash it on my face, get my hair wet, and I had my November Project Yellow original buff, which I soaked in water and then hung around my neck for cooling. It was the first time that I was realizing how hard this is. And back to losing one of our members along the way, that was a clear reminder that there's only one way out. And at this point, the only way out was up 3,000 vertical feet, and there was only one way to get there, and that's on your own 2 feet. So, it was up to you at this point.
Yeah, that came into real sharp relief for me over the ensuing few hours, where as we started going up, I ate my sandwich, I ate my tangerines, I ate my chips, I drank a lot of water. Everything I felt, I was moving in slow motion. Like, it took me 20 minutes to eat my sandwich or and then as we started moving, I just felt like I was dragging back. And then that just continued to sort of slowly, I guess I should say that the feeling of dragging just continued. And there's another water stop. I think that's, if I get the order wrong, I think it was called Manzanita. And at that point, I was really feeling, we had broken up into 2 or 3 sort of groups that were moving at slightly different paces, but we were all within a minute or so of each other. And I think I was back with the back group. And that's, it was funny. It was at that point where there was just a lot of encouragement with everybody. And, everybody was keeping up good spirits, and Will asked how I was doing. I said not too well, and he sort of made sure I had some more electrolytes, drank a lot of water, had even more electrolytes, and then we got up to, the pace slowed precipitously.
Well, and the steepness of the trail went from we're going uphill to we're going up a really big hill. The game changed a lot, and it was now really steep and really hard.
And the sun was beating directly upon us, and the shade was wonderful, but there was not a lot of it to be had. And we kept getting guidance from Will about how many miles were left and time, and he would say things like 4 hours. It's like, what? I don't even know. At that point, I have to say, from then until the absolute end, I didn't even think about any of the things that I was being told about time or distance. And to your point, I knew there was only one way out. I had to do it. I could barely move, but I knew what it meant, which was I don't have to think about how long it's going to hurt or how much effort I have to put in, because I just have to keep putting in some amount of effort. I can't say, 3 hours, that means this. No. What I have to do is put one foot in front of the other. And there was a point at which I couldn't put one foot in front of the other. I continued to slow down and rest whenever there was a little shade, and even maybe before that. And you had gone ahead. We had gotten into a pace where we were going, Will was leading us 10 minutes on, 2 minutes off, and that didn't work for you.
Well, to add a little more color to that, we as a group had started, there were maybe 6 of us or 7 in the group at that point, and we had started taking breaks every so often in the shade. And Will was ahead with some of the people who were a little bit stronger at that point. And up the trail ahead of us, we saw him, and he yelled at us to get off our asses and get moving, because we weren't going fast enough in his mind. And when we got up to him, that's when he intervened and started his strong coaching, I'll say. He gave a couple members instructions on how they should be using their poles differently. He sort of moved us around, and he said, okay, here's the deal. You're resting too much. 10 minutes on, 2 minutes off. Here we go. We're going to stick together. We're going to do this. And that's what the routine. At that point, we'd gone through a section that was pretty steep. And not only was it steep, but the drop-offs were precipitous. You went to the right too far. You went down 1,000 feet or something. The stopping thing just wasn't working for me. So I just went and decided I was going to just keep going at a slower pace, but not take breaks. And so I got off ahead and was alone a little bit. The next landmark was, I think it was called the Red Bridge.
Yeah.
Where we a steel bridge over a ravine. And then we went into a section that for me, I will never forget.
Well, and it was at that point where there was a rest stop with water that the guides sat me aside and intervened in my journey.
Well, that was after that section I referred to, which was probably an hour of switchbacks with not any shade anywhere.
No.
At the hottest part of the day, blazing.
Yeah.
And it broke me. I was, by the time we got to the next water station, I was out of control. Had to sit at one point and have dry heaves and make a Peter emergency trip to the restroom. And that was the moment where I thought, maybe I just can't do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking at all positive or negative. I was surprised, but they intervened. The other guide, who had driven all the way around the 4 hours to the north rim of the canyon, Sonia, came down, and between Will and Sonia, they poured water all over me, gave me some special goos. I don't even know what they are. I have to look them up. They were very liquidy, apparently very full of calories and electrolytes. And then Sonia gave me some sort of special concoction. She said, what does she call it? Mitochondrial coffee. I don't know what this thing was, but I started drinking it, and we started moving, and I still wasn't moving that fast, but something about that, whatever was in that water bottle, really, I became very attached to it. And, it was, I have to say, it was a very difficult moment when Will, our lead guide, said, I'm taking your pack and I'm going to get you out of this hole. And I think he meant it literally and figuratively. But I have to say it was a little bit rough to see my pack on top of his pack on his back, and I was just trying to follow behind him. But I also knew something was going on. I did not feel like myself, and I was really appreciative of the help. I didn't let it really get into my mind because I knew it was one foot in front of the other.
But it was interesting. The guides were good. They knew what they were doing. So there were a couple other guys that were struggling too.
Indeed.
They had one strategy for them, and they worked with them on that. Will had yelled at me really hard that I was going to eat something or else, and I feel like I know how I work from running marathons, and I knew that if I ate something at that point, I was going to end up throwing up or having dry heaves, and the party was going to be in a much more difficult spot. So I ignored him. And then there's not a lot of mind going on at that point, but on the edges of my understanding, I sensed that Will was having conversations about me with some of the other groups, and they decided to send me off with 4 others who were stronger than I was at that point, and their task, although I'm sure it wasn't said quite this way, but their task was to put me in the middle of the group and pace me up the hill. And so we started off. At that point, we had 5 miles to go.
That
was the 1.5 point. We had a 1.5 miles to go.
1.5 miles, 100 miles, it didn't matter.
Yeah, and a lot of altitude. And so we broke it up. We would do 15 minutes on, 2 minutes rest. 15 minutes on, and in the second 2 minutes rest, I said, I need another minute, so they gave me 3. Then we did another 15 with 2 minutes rest, and then we said, we're going to the top from here. And that was probably another 15 or 20 minutes. So Bryan had one strategy. These other 2 guys had another strategy. These 4 people were going to drag me up the hill. But the guides knew what they were doing and figured out what would work for each of the hikers based on where they were in the process and what problems they were having and all that. So spending the money to have guides made it possible, at least for me, to make it out of the ditch.
That's 100% true, because I was even thinking a whole bunch of hours into the hike, I was like, well, you really could do this without a guide. And then everything turned, and I said, boy, that would have been a terrible idea. And I had forgotten a whole point, a whole part of that very difficult section. Actually, I had fallen so far behind that our guide Sonia was basically assigned to me. And did we walk a half a mile, 100 feet, 2 miles? I have no idea. But then we finally did catch up with you guys at the water stop, and that's, so that's how much my brain was turned off. I had forgotten that I had actually become the slowest person in the entire group, and I needed a guide just assigned to me to make it to whatever the next stopping point was.
Although, however, you weren't the last one out.
Well, what happened was whatever combination of goodies they gave me, I came back. The Bryan I know came back. And I was able to again, it was one foot in front of the other. A little Emily Saul, some memories of Emily Saul's advice came into my head at that point when I really needed it. And I was moving, and I was actually moving faster than the other folks in our little group at that point. And we got to a lookout, a very beautiful lookout, and Will threw my bag on the ground and said, well, you're carrying this now. which was a huge encouragement, I have to say.
You got your manhood back in one fell swoop.
Yes. And it was amazing. And at that point, you were already past that point. You were already headed up in the last little push. And I felt strong at that point. I felt like how I was expecting, which was, this is really hard. You just breathe and you move your legs and you dig deep and you keep going. And I hadn't had that in several hours. I was just wilting like a fruit on the vine there. But yeah, I came out and I felt good. And I have, we have to talk about the change in what the canyon looks like. It's unbelievably beautiful everywhere. Cliffs and the views looking back were amazing. But there's a point very quickly you go from cactuses to then aspen trees and some of the other trees. The colors were already turning. Suddenly there were evergreens, and it felt, we're suddenly in an alpine sort of setting. And this is even before you come out at the North Ridge.
Yeah, you could see it gradually for the last, I don't know how to estimate it, 1,000 feet of vertical, couple miles of hiking, and whatever that is, as the environment was slowly changing from a desert to something in between and then to an alpine forest, although you really didn't hit the significant trees and the aspens until you were pretty close to the North Rim. But it was really welcome also, because we went suddenly from being in cactus and the desert to walking through a forest that you might find in New England kind of feeling, and got much cooler. There were a little bit of breeze, and that probably helped me too, because the last 15 or 20 minutes was sheer will of just hike. I was pretty far gone, and walking over the edge and being done. I've seen a video of it. My head's flashing around. Why? I am looking for somewhere, anywhere I can sit down that's in the shade. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, and I came up and I had the presence of mind to shut my Garmin off and, give some fist bumps. And I didn't sit down. I felt pretty good at that point. I was obviously elated to be done. And about 100 feet before the finish, I saw the flash of a car drive by in the parking lot. And I've never been so glad to see a car in my life, I have to say, in the woods. And everybody was there. Everybody in our group who had finished before us was there and cheering. And I don't know why. I didn't even think, I wasn't expecting it. Obviously, as I had said, my brain was pretty much turned off. So that was really meaningful and encouraging. And other groups were there too who had finished. And just everybody who was coming up at that point, we all knew what they were going through. So to get, to get the congratulations from people you didn't even know was great.
Yeah, it was really cool. There were 3 or 4 organized groups that were waiting to meet their people. They had banners and coolers and chairs and all sorts of stuff. And so it was a really very festive atmosphere at the top. And universally, everyone, it didn't matter if it was a gigantic struggle or if you ran the whole way. Everybody was so excited for you and knew in your world, whatever you'd gone through in some way or another, to make it there was a big deal. So it was really nice to have all those people being so nice. My stomach was still a mess, and I was like, please, somebody just give me a glass of ice and a cold Coke before I completely come undone.
And thankfully, the North Rim Lodge was right there, and we were able to get those things and sort of sit out. And what's wonderful about the North Rim is that you can look back out from the seating area at the expanse of the canyon going south and sort of imagine in your mind and looking out, well, hey, we did that. We walked from one way to the other in just one day.
Yeah, there were some other points earlier on when we were still down, but pretty far up, and we were in deep struggle where I had the presence of mind to turn around and look, and you could, at that point, really see down into the canyon, down to where we had been. And when you saw that distance, that elevation from where you were to down towards the bottom of the canyon, back when we were hiking along that river, it was my brain just could not process how that was possible, because the North Rim is higher, so you go down 3,500 feet, but you climb 4,500, so it's a long way down there.
And we did it.
Yeah.
And
it was fantastic.
And thanks to all of our fellow hikers, including a group of 6 guys who all graduated from Holy Cross, I think they said in 1990 or 1989.
Yeah, it was their class trip.
It was their class trip. Most of whom were from the Northeast, which was pretty funny. There was a Boston was well represented. And in that group, and we didn't know who these guys were, so that was just a great coincidence.
Yeah, it turned out to be a good group of guys, and one woman who was probably the most fit of anybody in the group. Incredible climber.
Absolutely, and everybody gelled really well. You never know how it's going to work. And then we drove, all the way back to Flagstaff, which is about 3.5 hours, 4 hours. I think everybody was just sort of in the twilight zone a little bit.
Yeah.
But also as you drive from the North Rim back to Flagstaff, we got to see the sunset on the Vermilion Cliffs of Arizona, which were unbelievably beautiful. Just these red cliffs that just go on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, it was spectacular scenery on the way back. Crossed over the Colorado River, just like we had hours and hours earlier on a little steel bridge, this time on a highway bridge. So our poor driver who drove the van around.
Yeah, I think the final toll was, or the final tally was 11 hours that she drove that day, and hiked several miles down to the Grand Canyon and nursed me back to life, and then hiked back out. So that's quite a day for waking up at 2:30 in the morning. And I just wanted to say something about our guide, Will, that there was a point at which, and I don't know, it was sometime after lunch, I was just thinking, well, I wouldn't be so tired if we hadn't kept up this relentless pace. That didn't feel relentless at the beginning, I have to say. It felt very doable, for me anyway. It felt fine. And I said, well, I can do this. And it did feel relentless, but even in the worst part of going up, I realized, well, I wouldn't want to be doing this for 5 minutes more. And so every slowdown or every shorter break may have made me feel better at the moment, but extending the day would have really been would have made it worse, because I think all of us were just going to get more tired. Any extra time that we were spent in the canyon.
Plus, he knew the timing, and it wasn't too hard for me. But we moved at opportunities where we could, where the trail was clean and it was only slightly uphill, relative term. We were hustling. The real thing about the timing was he knew that time we made up early meant less time in the sun, meant less hours on our feet. There were a whole bunch of he was right to push us hard early on, and to continue to encourage us to move, because a 12-hour hike would have been way different than an 11-hour hike. And as a matter of fact, if we'd slowed down to a 12-hour pace, it probably would have turned into 16 hours, because we would have melted down completely.
That's right. That much more time in the sun, I think, would have just had horrible results for all of us. Let me ask you this, George. So we're about 24 hours since we've been out, a little more. How do you feel?
I feel really very good. I'm still thirsty all the time and have not had enough to eat since we finished. The meal opportunities have been a bit spotty. But no physical pain. I don't, like my hamstrings don't hurt or my ankles aren't sore or any of those things. I did blow up the big toe on my right foot.
Yep.
I'd blown up the big toe on my left foot in the marathon in May, so now at least I'll have matching new growth toes here before long. But that's my only lingering thing, and it doesn't really hurt, and it'll be just fine. People lose toenails all the time, so I feel really good about it. Not good enough to say that I'd ever do it again, but I feel really good.
Yeah, I feel good. And unlike any ultra I've run, or certainly any road marathon, my hips don't hurt, my knees don't hurt, my ankles don't hurt, my feet don't even hurt. I had one little blister on my big toe that I didn't even know existed till I took my boots off. So I feel great. I don't have much to show for my complete physical meltdown during the hike up the canyon, which, I'm going to take as a good thing. And would I do it again? There were the entire final third of the hike. All I kept thinking, one of the things I thought was, I'll never do this again. This is ridiculous. Maybe I'm done with doing any kinds of adventures or endurance events because this is going horribly wrong. And not even 24 hours later, all that pain and second guessing and trying to figure out how to make my body do what I know it can do, that's all fading from my memory. And what I have is memories aided by hundreds of photos of just how beautiful it was, what a great experience was, how unique it felt to be down there, the camaraderie of the group we were with, and just the experience itself.
Yeah, I say that quickly. Now, part of it is there's lots of other great things to do, and I've done this one, so maybe I'll do some other kind of adventure and not go back into the Grand Canyon. I could imagine going in and spending a couple nights in the canyon and then hiking out. I think that would be kind of cool, but unlike my obsession with marathons, where a couple days after a marathon I'm ready to sign up for another one, 24 hours after this adventure, I'm not even slightly ready to sign up for this again.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do this one again. Maybe my next adventure will be somewhere it's a little cooler. But I think I'm not giving up on endurance or adventure just yet.
But don't get me wrong. I'm not even slightly sorry I did it. I'm really glad I did it. It was spectacular. So I'm glad I did it.
And thank goodness we went with Badass Adventures, because if it weren't for them, we might still be in the canyon.
Yeah, I'd be hiding behind some rock trying to get into the shade while I was throwing up. So,
that's right.
Yeah. So, Bryan, let me ask you a question as we finish up here. What will you take away as your highlight from this trip, if you have to narrow it down to just a little bit?
A highlight from the trip would be, it was those first rays of sunlight and the canyon sort of becoming exposed. Even though I had spent 4 nights in the canyon on a hiking trip with the family and camping, that was just astounding how beautiful it was. Those moments were felt very unique and special.
Yeah, I would agree. That was the most spectacular part. The other one for me, and I'm not sure exactly why, was the mile before the river and actually crossing the river. There was something really euphoric about walking over that bridge over the Colorado River, and that we'd come that far. We were still feeling fantastic. we were joking around, and it was just really an exciting moment for whatever. And it was also still a nice part of the day. We were at the bottom of the canyon, but it wasn't 105 degrees, and we were full of joy and optimism about the rest of the trip.
Yeah, I kept thinking, it's not even hot, because when I was there in July, again, on that camping trip, it never cooled down. Even in the middle of the night, it never cooled down. So that was great. Joy and optimism, I love it. And we made it out.
Yes, we did something really hard and really exciting, and I will forever be proud of us for pulling that one off.
Well, I can't say it better than that. Thank you, George.
Thank you, and thanks for being a fantastic friend.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's simply amazing. I need to just fully understand now. How are you feeling? Are you okay?
Yeah, again, my whole breakdown, I think, was due to some dehydration, some overheating, and some electrolytes. It wasn't heat stroke.
No.
My body wasn't hot. My heart rate never went crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working, but... And then once things came back online again...
You're good.
I was as I had expected to be during the trip, which was dig deep, keep going.
Yeah.
And that, I lost that for however long, an hour.
Whatever it was.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
But then coming out, I showed you the little video of me coming out. I looked like I had just finished a long hike. And
for real, yeah.
Nothing hurt. And nothing continues to hurt. And I haven't even thought about taking like an ibuprofen or anything like that.
That's amazing.
So what that tells me is the training was adequate, the strength training was adequate, and the only thing I hadn't been able to dial in clearly was like my electrolyte and something about my fueling, and that was because I hadn't done really long time in the heat and sun. And part of it was my schedule.
Yeah.
Part of it was the way this summer rolled. It kind of got cool here in August.
Yep.
And that's it. So if I had known, I would have probably just doubled or tripled up on the electrolytes. But I can't be more happy with how I feel now, a couple days out. Like I have zero residual negative effects, only positive.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
And kudos to you and to George, and congratulations. What a successful journey. And I got to tell you, that audio recorded, the two of you wrapping it up, it's riveting, man.
Is it?
Yeah, no, it's intense. And I made a note over here just while you're doing it to not book that trip. I'm good because I've listened to your story. I'm good. Mm-hmm. I'm really proud of you. By the way, everything you went through over that 11 hours is what I'm experiencing now when I do a 3-mile run. Just one foot in front of the other. Uh-huh. There's only one way out of this.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Dig deep.
Shorter breaks.
Shorter breaks. dry heave. No. Well, it actually reminds me very much of what was the mountain you did about 3 or 4 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you hit a wall there.
Same thing. I should learn from my mistakes, where that was a cool spring.
Yep.
And it was the bizarrely first hot day was that race.
Yeah.
Totally exposed. No, the leaves weren't out, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I hit a heat
blow up.
wall.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened. I got to the top and I just had to walk back the whole way, and it was exactly that. So I didn't adequately deal with the heat.
I'm going to say this. The Soul Searching Solstice run, well, you just had it. Like you're good. Like it's gonna be easy for you in December.
It's never gonna be easy, but we are gonna do the Soul Searching Solstice run, and it's on a Saturday. December 21st. It's really gonna hurt. Longest run of my life, shortest day of the year.
Won't be the longest run of your life. Longest hike, anyway.
Well, it'll be miles wise. It's usually pretty long. We got in most of us got in a 50K last year. So yeah,
it's going to be exciting.
You want to cue that music?
Yeah, let's hear that.
the longest run of my life. May end up crying some tears. I really just hope I survive. Gonna put one foot in front of the other. Who knows what I'll discover on my soul-searching solstice run. December 21st is really gonna hurt. My soul-searching solstice run. I'm hoping that it's worth it, becoming malnourished. Pounding that pavement, looping 5K. I really hope that I don't dehydrate on my soul-searching solstice run. I'll tell you all about it when I get done.
Looking forward to it. I'm in my own way getting ready.
Awesome.
Did you want to ask me any questions, Bryan?
In the time we have left, Peter.
Yeah, which is none. Because if I don't eat soon, I'm going to die. I mean, I'm you in the canyon.
You're me 3 miles from the top. Here, have some mitochondrial coffee.
Ooh, I feel
AKA who knows what the heck is in
Gosh,
that.
only knows.
How was your run today, Peter?
Bryan, thanks so much for asking. Really appreciate it. It's Monday. I have not run today because I wanted to give you the center spotlight, as well deserved as it is. But on Saturday morning at the crack of early, got together with the Bulldogs.
Nice.
And Melissa and Mark from the Bulldogs and I let Michael Goff and his fast crew
tear off into the sunrise?
Yeah, goodbye. And we just did 3 miles together, and it felt great. And for me to do the reservoir now, it's it's a 1.25 miles there and a 1.25 miles back. So I had about a 5.5 mile day, and it felt really good. And I just got to do more of that.
I can't remember the last time I ran now.
You don't need to.
I'm sure it wasn't that long ago.
You probably don't need to. You could probably run right now. You'd be fine.
Take a
little.
There's one thing I have learned from experience. I should probably take about a week off.
Take a moment.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, huge congratulations to you and George. Well earned, well prepared, well executed. What a tale. The listening public, if they have any questions about this trip, they're going to send that into howwasyourruntoday@gmail.com. That's howwasyourruntoday@gmail.com. And people should probably join us on Sat Chat on Facebook and Instagram and keep listening to the show, right?
That's right. For Saturdays, just come to Facebook or Instagram. Go to the How Was Your Run Today area.
Yeah.
And tell us where you ran, what the weather was like, and please leave a sweet, sweet photo.
Bryan, while you were gone, I tried to put the show on YouTube, and I don't know if I've succeeded.
I don't even know how to use a phone anymore.
I don't know.
I've lost all those skills.
But I hear YouTube's the place to be. I hear it's one of the spots.
Apparently.
And the website in development.
Okay.
Hell, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get that up off the ground before the Halloween mark, but we're going to try. We're going to try to get that because people are clamoring for it. Literally no one's mentioned the website. Nobody cares.
I think you need a pumpkin spice, Peter.
Let's go out on a pumpkin spice ultra rim to rim. Thank you, Jeff Cronenberg. I'll see you next time.
Good day.
Wow, the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon, pumpkin spice, rim to rim. Grand Canyon, pumpkin spice, rim to rim. Pumpkin spice, pumpkin spice.